The meeting is recorded. I am now going to pass it over to our interpreter for, to go over the, interpreter and, logistics.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Christina, here with my partner Claudia. We have our Zoom interpreters online from Linguistica. We ask if you're on Zoom for English speakers, if you're a monolingual English speaker, please select the worldwide interpretation icon at the bottom of the screen, then select English. If you're using a Zoom via telephone or tablet, you will select the three dots to see more options, followed by interpretation and then English. And speak up, and then don't mute your audio, your original audio. I will be giving those same instructions in Spanish. Hola, buenas tardes. Tenemos interpretación disponible en español también, si están conectados por Zoom. Las instrucciones para conectarse es que tienen que seleccionar el icono de interpretación que aparece en un mundo en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Luego selecciona español y silencie el audio original. Si está usando Zoom en un teléfono o tableta, seleccione los tres puntos para ver más opciones, seguido por interpretación y después seleccione español y de nuevo silenciar el audio original. Muchas gracias.
All right, thank you. And so next, I just want to take this time and take this opportunity just to say thank you to all of the steering committee members as we come to our end of the year meeting. Just want to let you know how much we appreciate from the co-leads, myself, and also Vincent Valdez on all of the hard work that you all have done throughout this year. And again, just thank you for all of the hard work. We really appreciate everything that you've been doing. It has not gone unnoticed. And so for those of you who are here and then also on the line again, we appreciate you so much.
Hello, David Ying with the Air District. So on behalf of the Air District, I'd like to echo that as well. We would like to say thank you to all the steering committee members for your time and commitment to this program. This program will not be successful without you all, right? So that people in the community can breathe better, cleaner air. So with all your help, we can move towards achieving that. And that's why we're developing a community emission reduction program for CERT, right? I would like to also want to acknowledge and appreciate the committee members that have been participating in this process and providing your thoughts and feedback. Again, thank you, and we look forward to continuing this partnership with you all in 2025. And as a token of our appreciation to the steering committee, we do have a gift bag in the back with your name on it.
Thank you, co-leads and David. I'm Nicholas Towns. I'll be the facilitator again today. Just want to review, again, check out the in-person and virtual reminders and logistics slides to make sure that you're familiar with how to engage. If there's any questions for any of our participants online, feel free to leave it in the chat. And if you have any questions in person, raise your hand. Want to go over the code of conduct briefly. We won't be going in depth through it, but just want to bring everyone's attention. We do honor the code of conduct, and we will be enforcing that throughout today's meeting. We do have a packed schedule than we normally do, but we still want to stay on time. So as facilitators, we might interrupt or guide the conversations, but we'll try our best to leave room for space for everyone to have their opinions discussed and shared. And with that, we are prepared, Stephanie, to go through roll call if you'd like.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to get ready for our roll call, starting with our steering committee members. When you hear your name, please indicate your attendance by stating present. Then I'm also going to introduce our CARB staff and then take a moment to ask the members of the public to state their name, neighborhood affiliation, and then also followed by those that are in person. So going back to the top for our steering committee members, starting with Bishop Chris Baker.
Here.
Thank you. Rhonda Henderson.
Here.
Tito Home. Vincent Valdez.
Here.
Stephen Street. Rena Moreno. Richard Falcone. Richard Lincoln. Ward Winchell.
Present.
Thank you. Barry Boyd.
Yes,
Barry Boyd.
here.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate that, Barry. Morgan Brown. Here. Lori Walker.
Here.
Thank you. Roberta Rizzo. Jamala Green.
Here.
Thank you. Serena Rodriguez. All right, thank you. All right, thank you, steering committee members for,
All right, we needed 8. Are you present, Stephanie?
and I am present. I am Stephanie Williams and I am also present.
We needed 8 tonight for quorum, and we have 10, so quorum has been established.
All right, we have 10 people present and a quorum has been established. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our district staff, starting with David Yang.
Here.
All right, Sarah Balakwarsa,
Here.
Leah Colin,
Here.
Amy Roberts. Online or, no? All right, Jaime Lemos. Mark Utzenheiser.
Here.
All right, Andrew Wynn Mann.
Here.
Paul Billy,
Here.
Angela Thompson,
Here.
Carolyn Tran. All right, and from for our CARB staff, Adriana Smith. Kevin Oaks. All right, and of course, we have Nicholas Towns and Britta Roman, who are our facilitators.
Oh, we have another steering committee member who just joined.
All
We
right,
Want to,
let's go back. Steering committee member? Okay, Roberta Rizzo, thank you, we got you. So with our, with Roberta Rizzo, we have now went from, 10 present to 11.
correct.
11 present, all right. All right, thank you. That's roll call.
Introduction for the public.
That's right. Do we have members of the public that would like to?
We'll start
State your
in
name.
person, but if, online, please raise your hand if you make introductions, and remind the public to please state your name and affiliation if you prefer for the meeting minutes. Do you have any members from the public in person?
My name is Erica Hadamio and I'm a resident in South Sacramento.
Any other members of the public in person?
My name is Monoline Green from Philippines.
Thank you. Not seeing any others in person, we'll move online. Adrian, go ahead.
Hi there, Adrian Wren with Valley Vision.
Welcome, Adrian.
Not seeing any other public members' hands raised online, and that concludes our segment. Moving on, is there any community events that need to be shared today? We're allotting 30 seconds each.
On January 25th, 2025, Color the Block is hosting a green leaf plant swap and National Plant Celebration Day. And we do want to invite, not only the steering committee, but also the air district out to come and table to share more information about what we're doing. So we'll be giving out free trees, free plants, and we should have an on-site chef to be doing, cooking demos with actually some of the food that's actually growing at the community garden.
Nice, nice.
Any other community events, updates?
Yes, January 20th, the Martin Luther King March is going on, and we were invited by Adrian Wren to help start the march off at the Oak Park Community Center at 7 o'clock. And I will be out there with Adrian and encourage anybody else from the steering committee who wants to participate. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other community events to announce? Seeing none in person, online, please raise your hand if you'd like to announce any community events. Seeing none, we'll move on. As Stephanie and David started the meeting, there was a desire to have an appreciation for all the hard work the steering committee and the members of the public and the district have done this year, as well as all of our partner agencies and community organizations. In that spirit, there has been a request to allow for a appreciation soiree, we'll call it, to start this meeting. To all the in-person members, there's additional food as well as some gift bags for our steering committee members. We will also be taking a pause from our normal agenda to allow space for this. For those online, you can rejoin us at 6:40 where we will recommence the agenda details. We will allow for space for that celebration and appreciation in person. Yes, go ahead. We also had a chat a community event, so we will read that out loud. Go ahead, Britta.
Yeah, Adrian Rand added in the chat that Valley Vision will be serving coffee and hot chocolate at Oak Park Community Center, 7 to 8 a.m. on MLK Day. So that is at the same time and same event that Vincent was mentioning.
Thank you for that. And with that, we will be muting our online mic for the participants online, and for the members in person, you can feel free to enjoy the festivities. And we will do a reminder to return at 6:35, and then we will recommence at 6:40.
We put on mute.
making their way back to their chairs, we're getting ready to reconvene here. Reminder to speak extra loud. You may have to wake up a member from a food coma. Again, special thanks to Vincent, who really championed having an end of year celebration and appreciation. It takes a lot. It does take a lot to join a committee as a public member. I know a lot of you are passionate, but your efforts are well appreciated, and that's been echoed by both the co-leads as well as the districts. So let's continue. A great partnership into the new year. We just want to announce that Tito is also now in the meeting, so that takes our participation up to 13, might be a record. And Barry is now switched from being online to in person as well. Don't know what motivated him, but he was moving very quickly, suspiciously.
Drive a four-wheel car, I was up in two.
And with that, Stephanie, would you like to cover the meeting minutes?
Absolutely. All right, welcome back. We are now at 6:40, and so we're back to our meeting. For those of you online, it's still time for you to come on down. Just join the meeting via your phone, jump in the car and come on down to the digital cafe. We'd love to see your smiling faces. All right, and with that, our next administrative item is the approval of the meeting summary. This meeting summary is in your packet and also had been sent out previously for those of you who are online. And so, I am asking for a motion, for a steering committee to make a motion to approve the Monday, November the 18th, 2024 meeting summary.
Have a motion to approve this summary. Do we have anyone? Second.
Do we have a motion?
Do we have a first?
Do we have a first? I was- Okay,
Oh, Janelle.
all right, Jamala Green first and Vincent second. All right. All right, so we have a first, we have a second to approve the meeting the meeting summary from Monday, November 18th. And so, is there anybody that is an objection to this? I'm gonna save us a little time. Anybody in objections? Anybody abstaining? All right. Seeing no objections, seeing no abstentions, then we are moved forward to approve the meeting summary from Monday, November the 18th. All right. Do we still need to do a vote? All right, let's go ahead and do a vote. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call tally. I didn't hear anybody object, so I'm just assuming that we're all in agreement, but we'll go ahead. Bishop Chris Baker. Rhonda Henderson. I'll circle back to Rhonda. I know you're here.
I'm here.
Tito,
I approve.
thank you.
Rhonda, I'm here too.
All right. And that was your approval, Tito? All right. Vincent Valdez.
Yes.
All right. Stephen Street. Raina Moreno. Richard Falcon. Richard Lincoln. Ward Winchell.
Yes.
Barry Boyd.
Yes.
Morgan Brown.
Abstain because I wasn't present.
All right, thank you. Lori Walker.
Yes.
Thank you. Roberto Rizzo. Abstain? All right. Jamala Green.
Yeah.
All right, Serena Rodriguez.
Abstain, because I wasn't on the board.
All right, you abstained because you weren't on the board, yeah. All right. Can we count those up? And myself, yes, I approve Stephanie Williams. Yes, I approve.
All right, I misspoke earlier. We have 12 total members in attendance today. We have 9 approving and 3 abstentions, so the motion carries.
All right, thank you. All right, next. All right, I am going to pass this mic over to Vincent, and he is going to talk about our next administrative item, which is the membership update for inactive members. Give us a minute.
Hello, everybody. Yes, so we had an opportunity to reach out to some of the members who had not been attending. And, I just want to thank Pat Shelby for all her hard work on our committee, and Michael Lampkin. They both, decided to step down. But, they had valuable input on our steering committee. I have spoke to a couple other people, and they're, contacting the air district on the situations that, they're working on. And so, we have a couple more openings on the steering committee, and so the more the merrier, I keep saying. So we need to fill those positions and get some people who are interested in working on the CERP and air quality issues and outreach that we have to do in our communities. Was there anything else I was supposed to talk about? No. Okay. What's on next on our item?
Thank you. Did you, initially, we had a possibility of having an action item related to this in January, but I'm assuming that that's no longer needed. Did you want to take a vote for January for this time?
Yeah.
Yes, you still? Okay.
Oh, yes, I thought you were talking about me. Okay, no.
Okay,
We don't.
all right.
Perfect. All right, so that concludes agenda item number 2. Now moving over to agenda item 3A, we just wanted to make a note that we reversed the order of the discussion item and action item for tonight's agenda. It will become a little bit more clear as to why. So action item 3 is 3A, it's allowed for co-lead nominations to start in December. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so for those of you who were present at our November meeting and who has also had an opportunity to read the November meeting minute summary, one of the things that I brought up last time was that in this meeting that we would talk about taking an opportunity to have nominations for co-leads here in this December meeting, if that was something that we wanted to do. The purpose of that is so we would be able to vote upon new co-leads coming forward in our January meeting. And so, like in times past, one of the things that we have made a commitment to do with this steering committee is that we did not want to bring up a subject matter, an action item, and then have you all be responsive in the same meeting as you're hearing it. And so last month, we talked about bringing forward this action item to discuss if we were open to accepting nominations in this December meeting. So then we would be able to vote on those new co-leads coming forward in January. What that looks like is we would take nominations starting from this meeting. If we agreed, we would take nominations from this meeting. It would remain open through January. And so that's just some of the highlights there. So let me take a step back. And first of all, want to know if there's any questions and just to survey the room to see if the steering committee is open, first of all, to opening nominations here in the December meeting.
Just for clarification. So.
And then also, as we pass the mic, want to remind anyone online who'd like to make comments to raise their hand. And we will follow the order of the rule to go from the in-person and then online. And please keep the mic close to your mic and try and speak as loud as you can through the meat in your teeth.
Sorry, folks. Just for clarification. So nominees are both this meeting, and you said through January. So from today forward, anyone who wants to step forward can, whether this meeting or not. So here's the part of confusion. You ended with, if we vote on it,
If we vote to open the nominations.
Missed that part.
Yes, there's an action item to allow the COLE nominations in December. There is a charter statement that states that the nominations and the voting on the nominees have to occur in the January meeting alone. The motion would say that the nominations can take place starting in this meeting and through December and January. It can still happen in the January meeting where the actual vote for those nominations would occur. So the discussion item for the action discussion tonight is related to whether or not you would like to have the nominations open up from this meeting moving forward.
My apologies, I was concentrating on the potato salad.
And again, that was also going back to what we heard earlier, that we've heard earlier from the steering committee, is that we did not want to make a motion and vote on it in that same meeting, at the same time. So this gives us an opportunity for those of you to think about it. If you want to nominate someone, you would be able to have that time to consider. And it would open, also with that, just by way of clarification, those nominations would be, if we move forward, we're open to that. It would be, you could do it in this meeting, you would be able to email, however you want to bring forward that nomination. And so we're not limited on how you can do that. And yes, you can self-nominate as well. So I'm just putting all of this information out here as you consider it. So that's what's on the table. Did you want to add anything?
No, we are now opening up for steering committee discussion on action item 3A. Does any steering committee member would like to make a comment related to action item 3A, either in person or online?
Yeah, I have my thing up. And so, just to be clear, we brought this up last month. And so we're able to vote on it this month, correct?
Correct, vote on the motion.
And so, so we're looking for a motion to have the co-lead nominations start this month is what we're looking at. And so I think it's a great idea.
We also have another comment in person. And again, if you're online and would like to make a comment as a steering committee member, please raise your hand after the discussion from the steering committee. And if the motion carries on a vote of the second motion, we will also have a period for public comment on the action item 3A. Go ahead.
This is Ward Winchell. I think the process is a good idea to give people more time to consider who would be nominated.
Any other comments from the steering committee? In person? Seeing none? Oh,
Sorry, I wanted to say something with that rib stuck right here. Yeah, thank you guys. This is Tito Wong. Maybe Stephanie and Vincent share with us, what you guys experienced last year, some of the struggles, challenges, but also triumph, things that you learned, things that made you better. You guys did a great job, by the way, so.
I think we were gonna be doing that after the motion, but we can talk about it now. So yeah, being the co-lead was, it's a very rewarding experience. You get to work with the air district, CARB, and help facilitate some of this meeting as well. I've done it for 2 years, and I truly believe in the spirit of rotation and bringing in new ideas and new bodies, and I'll still be here to be supportive. It's just, I do think it's time for new people to step up and lead this committee.
I would say that the experience definitely is rewarding and a great opportunity. As far as the challenges, I think the primary challenge is really about prioritizing the meeting agenda. There was a period of time, I would say from spring to summer, where we had a lot of things that we wanted to cover, and we only have this time frame. And so, and then also allowing for discussion. And so there's times where there will be high priority items, but we kind of all just collide one into another, right? And so you can't do one thing until you do the next thing. And so being able to prioritize that, and then at the same time hear feedback, maybe from the public or other steering committee members that we're going slow, where we're not making the headway that we need to, but we have this laundry list that we have to do and we haven't prioritized. And so being able to manage that, and as best as we could, and still make sure that we're hearing from the public, that we're hearing from the steering committee, and being able to move forward. So that is a balance. That's a balance. So I would say that was probably the greatest challenge, but it's very rewarding.
And just for point of order, we will be having the discussion item related to the co-leads nominations after this as well for further discussion. Any other comments on the motion for item 3A or any of the steering committee members in person? Seeing none in person, online, are there any comments that you'd like to make on this motion? Or are you in transit like Barry? Seeing none, then Stephanie, you can call action on this motion.
All right, so I am opening up.
Sorry, apologies, public comment. Any
Oh,
public comment
public
on this mission? Okay, so
Absolutely.
great, we have one in person. Again, if you're online and would like to make a comment on this, please raise your hand or leave your comment in the chat.
Thank you. This is Erica Jaramillo making a public comment for those online. One, I just want to first express my gratitude to Vince and Stephanie for your guys' leadership around this. Vince, you've kept me in the loop, and that's how I have actually been able to stay like involved in some of the meetings, because you've included me on the emails, and so that was really helpful, and I appreciate you for that. Stephanie, you've been like consistent here, and I really noticed how much balance means to you and how important that is, because some of us do really provide critical, maybe even offensive feedback to some folks sometimes. But I know that holding, an appointed position and representing the community means that we can't take this stuff personally. And we really do need to make sure that we're representing all members of the community, even if we have a personal or biased experience about the issue that we're working on. So I just want to say thank you to both of you all. In your guys' discussion following picking someone else, I do feel like it's important to understand the role that you guys played in keeping some of us engaged here and involved. And I'm hoping that the people that lead next also value that and want to keep all of us engaged as well and will include us. And I don't want to volunteer anyone here. I don't want it to come across like that, but I do know that I do really appreciate and trust some of the work that Morgan Brown is doing in the community. I know that she has community front and center in mind. And Jamala, the fact that you were here prior and came back shows like your commitment and investment to this. And so those are two people who I see that I would really trust and like to see, co-lead if they're available and willing to kind of take on that leadership role. But again, I just want to say thank you very much for your guys' commitment and leadership, your consistency, and trust and integrity in this process with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments in person? Oh, sorry.
Are we out of order?
Yes, we are, correct. Sorry, apologies for that. We got prompted. We'll go ahead with the motion.
All right, so want to open the floor to the steering committee to make a motion to move forward with opening up nominations for co-leads for this December meeting, opening December for voting in January. Thank you. All right.
Hi, this is Ward Winchell. I'd like to make a motion to allow for co-lead nominations at this meeting.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion. All right, from Ward Winchell, and we have a second from Barry Boyd. All right, y'all.
Got two motions. The motion's carries for the vote for the co-lead nomination in December. Now we open up for public comment. We have one. Thank you for that. Any other public comment in person? Seeing none, are there any public comments on the motion that just carried online? No comments on the motion, but there is a general comment about keeping the mic closer to your lips while speaking and speaking a little bit louder.
All right,
With that, the motion carries and you now can open up for the vote roll call.
all right, starting with opening up for the roll call. We are voting. We're gonna move forward with voting for allow the co-lead nominations in December, starting with Bishop Chris Baker, Rhonda Henderson,
Yes.
thank you, Tito Home,
Yes.
Vincent Valdez.
Yes.
All right, Stephen Street. Reina Moreno. Richard Falcone. No, Richard Lincoln. Ward Winchell,
Yes.
Barry Boyd.
Aye.
Morgan Brown,
Yeah.
Lori Walker,
Yes.
Roberto Rizzo.
Yes.
Jamala Green.
Yes.
Serena Rodriguez.
Yes.
Stephanie Williams, yes.
I count 12 yeses, no nos, no abstentions. The action item carries to allow for co-lead nominations beginning in December.
All right.
This concludes our agenda item 3. Moving to agenda item 4, right on schedule. Oh, wait, we have a comment. Go ahead, Vincent.
Just to be clear, that we could nominate anybody, you can send an email to the Air District, to David or Janice and or to Sarah. Those are the easiest ways to nominate anybody. And are there any other ways we're gonna be doing it?
Correct. That is our next item, discussion item 4.
Oh, good.
4A, co-lead nomination, co-lead roles. There will be a moment to discuss what the roles are, as well as allowing for discussions. For this item, if individuals would like to make official nominations now, they can. There's also an opportunity for you to anonymously make a nomination. Or as Vincent stated, this opens up the nomination period. So after the meeting between now and in the January meeting, you can still make nominations.
Well, I think we hit them. But again, as you see on the screen, we have further direction on ways that you can nominate again during this discussion item. You can submit nominations to the AB 617 clerk. Nominations are open until the January 25th meeting for that action item. And then nominations need to be accepted. So you're gonna make those nominations need to be accepted. All right.
At this point, we were going to have discussions on maybe what the co-lead role entails, as well as allowing for both you and Vincent to provide feedback on your time there so far.
Right. Any other questions now that we have, I know Vincent and myself shared a little bit, but are there any other questions about experiences or roles, responsibilities per the charter for co-leads? All right. Oh,
I'm sorry, Vincent.
Vincent
and Barry.
Oh, very, very.
I'll start for Vincent, but Barry has it here.
How do I word this? How time intensive is the co-lead position?
Great question, Barry. That's one of the things we didn't say. So there are 2 co-lead meetings we attend with the Air District and with Kearns and West. And so to help set up our agenda for the meetings, and I was one that during the years, like, do I gotta do 2 meetings? But there's a lot of work, and like Stephanie said, there's a lot of topics that come up during the year that we've had to push through. Some that were not more important, but everything needs to be discussed and shared with the community and with the steering committee. And in our one meeting, it takes a lot to plan all that information in the 2-hour meeting. And so, yes, there are two 1.5-hour meetings that we attend each month to prep for the co-lead for the steering committee meeting. So the two co-leads attend that with the Air District and Kearns and West to set up our agenda and our meetings. So besides that, attending the regular meeting, one, two.
We asked for some clarity. It was two-hour meetings that occurred in between each meeting to set up. And there's usually additional coordination for those meetings as well.
Yeah, but I usually stay for an hour and a half.
Yes,
I gotta go.
So Morgan Brown, my question is, what correlation to like the CERT committee and outreach subcommittee, what correlation is, I guess, the role for a co-lead when it comes to those? Like, is there further responsibility associated with being at those meetings too, as far as time commitment? Could you elaborate?
Okay, well, I've attended all the meetings and it's not a requirement, but I feel effective leadership and participation is really important. We all need to start participating a little bit more on our steering committee. And I appreciate everybody who has participated. It's not a requirement, but at least being in contact with those subcommittees, and there are sometimes things that have to go through the co-leads before they're presented. And so each meeting we get an outreach and a CERT update, and so I'm informed because I attend and just so happens I'm the co-lead for the CERT, and so I'll be doing that as moving forward and not having to do both.
So you said you're the co-lead for CERT too, so technically there are two different co-lead positions for AB six, so you do the chairperson for AB 617 is different than the chairperson for. Okay, and then as far as the outreach committee, it is still a requirement for, I'm assuming the co-lead, or it's best practice for a co-lead to be. Okay. So it's about 20 hours a month.
19.5.
So what I will say is that it is time intensive, but again, it is time intensive, but it is rewarding. I would say that I wouldn't shy away, because the amount of time in between those two-hour meetings, there may be also documentation that we are reviewing and making sure that we understand it. If we have any questions on that, as you see, there is a lot that goes into these meeting packets. And so the review of that, there's also things that we follow up with the district, they run things past by us. And so in between those meetings, there's also some conversation, dialogue, and some vetting that also happens there. So, yeah. And if we have to call a special meeting or a survey or something, then we come back and we do the same thing. Anytime we're going to have interaction with the public, with the steering committee meeting, we are going to come together as a team and discuss what that's going to look like and get those agendas done. And so, yeah.
Excellent. We have another comment from Barry, and I just also want to remind everyone that there is a slide in your packets, and there it is on the screen online that just enumerates the charter, specific language for the co-lead position.
I would just like to bring forward as writing the coattails of what Vincent was saying, and what Stephanie as well, is the additional meetings or the additional time put in, and making it a best practice to attend the subcommittee meetings, which are two subcommittees as far as I know, which is the CERT and the community engagement. But with that said, we are a CERT committee now. That's what we do. So from July, whatever the date was when board said, yes, you guys are now a CERT committee, everybody needs to be on board at the monthly meeting, which is this, and the CERT meeting. There isn't any other way to say it. We are a CERT. We need it all hands on deck every single meeting. And the outreach meeting, it's the same there as well. So ideas come from everyone and not left to the lead or co-leads. Okay, how about if we try this? Remember, everything is CERT. The clock has started, what, 4 months ago now? And 5 months ago, folks, and we're already at 6 months. Your time is flying. With that said, SERB meeting, monthly meeting, outreach meeting. The discussion is SERB, 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 SERB. That's the reality. It's not have one meeting and we'll get back to, no, we have to come up with a plan. There's a 2-year window period. And you see how fast 6 months went by. Thank you.
Any other,
Yes, and just for clarity, it's, I did the math, took me a little while, I had to get the calculator out, but it's 10 hours. If you add up all the steering committee meetings, the subcommittee meetings and the co-lead meetings. And so just to be clear, it's about a 10-hour commitment. With a lot of homework.
any other, comments or questions on the discussion item 4A?
All right, thank you. Passing it over to David for 2024 in review. Looking forward to 2025.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie and Vincent, for being co-leads. I know it's been a pleasure working with you too, so, and, you know, we're looking for, to see who takes on over, next year. So 2024 in review, and looking forward to 2025. So I wanted to, first cover what we did back in 2024, the accomplishment that we had. Then, we'll want to look forward into 2025, and Barry already gave a little preview of what that would look like, and that's serve. So we started the year off by updating the charter. In that charter update, we increased our membership to 21. We also did have a couple of meetings where we improved our meeting process, and today we're implementing that, and I think it's been working pretty good. And then we also added 6 new members to our committee this year. Looking to expand the boundaries, we put together and we all participated in the all-electric community bus tour. In the middle of the year, we decided that we want to be a CERT community. And that was approved by CARB in July of 2024. That also starts the clock, which we'll cover later on. Next slide, please. With the CERT designation, we also expanded the boundaries, and that's shown up there. As you know, throughout the whole year, we've been doing community outreach and engagement. First, it was for if we want to move to CERT, if we how big want to expand boundaries, and now we're figuring out the next steps in CERT and figure out what are the community's concerns. As part of CERT panel, as part of this movement, we invited other AB 17 community members to come and talk about their experience about developing a CERT and their lessons learned. And then at this last meeting, we had went over priority locations so that we could move our purple laboratory to those locations. Next slide, please. That was 2024, kind of in a nutshell. So I wanted to cover kind of where we're at the moment and what we're moving towards in the future in 2025. As I mentioned, we were designated as a CERT community in July of 2024. That starts a 2-year clock, so it gives us until the end of June of 2025, June of 2026 to develop a CERT. After this meeting, we have about 18 months. Before we could take anything to the Air District Board for approval, we'll need to develop a CERT, a draft CERT, so that we could take it through a federal process and get feedback. So that really leaves us less than 18 months. It probably is for about 13 to 15 months, right, to get a CERT developed in place. So after it's approved by our district board, it goes to the state for approval. And then once it's approved, it starts the 5-year implementation clock. So it's looking at 2026 to 2031. Next slide, please. So looking ahead in 2025, there's a couple things that we need to focus on. Barry put it very nicely saying it, serve. So it's really understanding our community emission inventory and our air mountain data. That will help us identify our community areas, and then we'll need to look at where is our priority, where do you want to focus on. Part of the CERP process is also understanding what the air district does, and also what other agency can help with this process and meeting our, helping you address those concerns. One thing that we could do is also explore what other community has done, right? So there's 18 or 19 other communities out there that have developed CERP. They have done a lot of they have developed and implemented a lot of CERP strategy and actions. And so just depending on what we want to address here in Sacramento, we can look at that and use that as a starting point. And then it's developing and prioritizing CERP strategies so that we could address those concerns. Next item. So again, there's ways that we could identify the community concerns. Is through you all who has expertise and experience in what our air quality issues are, our air quality concerns. Another thing is the community emission inventory that our friend at the state is going to help put together, and they're going to bring us forward hopefully in the January meeting. Right, the emission inventory tells us what sources the emissions are coming from. We also have been presenting on our air monitoring data, and we have plans to do a deeper dive into air monitoring data, which give us information about the air pollutions. So it will help inform us in our developing our search strategies. Another resource that we could look into is the Community Hub 2.0, and that's a tool that shows how other community has addressed their community concerns. Next slide, please. So here, so the good news is that we, have been doing a lot of work. We have heard a lot of concerns, right, over the 6-year periods that we have had this program in place. There are account development. We heard from you all, the steering committee. We have heard from the public. We have heard from the surveys that we have, that y'all have put together the community concerns, and there's a long list of community concerns. I'm not gonna go over here soon one, but I have put it up here as a reference. Next slide, please. There are more community concerns. The question to y'all is this: is there anything else that we're missing? Because the next step is to prioritize these community concerns and really to focus on, okay, what are the strategies, the actions we need to consider so that we can address those concerns in the community. Next slide, please, Andrew. So this again is just going back to the Community Hub 2.0. It shows you the different type of action strategies. There's also a link to it here where you click on it and explore it. So with that, I'll pass back to you.
Awesome, thank you, David. So for discussion item 4B, any comments from the steering committee? Again, if you're online, and you'd like to make comment, please raise your hand.
Yeah, sure, I'll comment. And so like David said, so in our year in review, we had a lot done this year, you guys. I mean, we went to neighborhood associations, Meadowview Neighborhood Association, Mangan Neighborhood Association, and I think we went to the Valley High Neighborhood Association or Deer Creek neighborhood. And so we did a lot of outreach. We've expanded our community boundaries. I'm gonna say at least threefold. I don't know how many more, but we got a lot of miles to cover now. And so, but we've only monitored in a small portion of our boundary. And so the outreach into the new areas and utilizing the monitoring that's been done by other agencies and also the air district on other projects as well is gonna help us maybe potentially get some CERT projects in those new areas. And so that's where a lot of the groundwork is gonna be coming from. And so, you know, they had a picture of me at the Dia de los Muertos, or not the Dia de los Muertos, yeah, Dia de la Tierra event that we had over at La Familia. And, you know, and I forgot that we had so much fun there and it rained all day that day. But we had a great day and so we did outreach there. We've done outreach at so many different events. And just this weekend, me and Jamala were at the Meadowview Neighborhood Market right down the street here. And I was surprised to see the Air District there, but they were there too. And we engaged the community one more time. And just so you know, I think we got at least 10 surveys filled out at that event. And so we need those updated onto our website and that information deciphered for us to help us get some ideas on what the community is telling us. And so just things like that, we really came out of the room and came into the community, I'm gonna say, this year. And we started to get some real engagement, some real community feedback. I would love to see at least 10 or 15 community members at every one of our meetings. And so I am personally gonna invite somebody to come with me each meeting, just so they can see what we're doing and also help us get information and feedback. And also bring up community events that are coming up. And when we were talking about community events, I know we forgot about the sweet potato event, but we're looking into it. And then Tito, what about the Lunar New Year? So we need to attend the events in the community I've been harping on it for a while. This year, we started going where people were, not asking people to come where we are. And that's how we effectively were able to reach out into the community and get a lot of feedback and a lot of interest in what we were doing. And when we talk about the health risks associated with air quality, people listen or share what's going on in their communities or with their families every time. It never fails. But yeah, I'm really proud of all the different work we got to do in the community and all the different the progress we're making and moving forward with the CERT. And so thank you.
Any other comments on discussion item 4B? And or any cases that want to be made for discussion item 4A? Seeing none in person, any online? Seeing none online, then we can conclude agenda item 4. We will now open for public comment on the discussion items. Are there any public comments on any of the discussion items in person?
Can we go back for?
Yes, we can. Where would you like to?
I'd like to comment on the board's book.
All 4B? Okay.
Thank you. This is Roberto Rizzo speaking. You mentioned, David, but something that's really cool that you were able to onboard 6 new members to the community this year. We've talked about the expansion of the boundaries and, how to engage more people in those areas. Something that I've been thinking about, I was reading the Blueprint 2.0 this week, and I'm thinking about this specific issue. How could we get a map that can pinpoint specifically where each of the committee members is coming from, right? So we get a map of the entire area that we need to cover and where these members are at, kind of to see where the clusters are at and to see what areas we need more members from, so we can specifically reach out to those neighborhoods or blocks. I don't know if that already exists, but if it does, it will be really cool. A really good way to onboard new people. I don't know where we all come from, but right, okay, that's my only comment.
Any other comments? Okay, any public comments in person? Seeing none, are there any public comments online?
I got one more.
Oh, okay, back to Vincent.
Since we're talking about where are we going next year, where's our meeting gonna be next year in January? Just kidding. I couldn't help myself. I don't know if we know where we're going yet, but we don't. Okay, great.
Vincent, we haven't figured out our meeting location next week. We will let you guys know once we find out and secure a location.
This is trying to make it an hour and a half meeting.
Doing a great job.
Somewhere to go? bring it to the board's attention, their district's attention, or the police, and we can submit it, you know, hey.
For those of you who are online in Ms. Vincent's comment, he said if you have any recommendations on meeting locations, please bring that to
The air district or the police.
the Air District or to the co-leads. Thank you.
All right, any other comments on the discussion item for the public? Seeing none, then we can conclude agenda item 4. Moving over to agenda item 5, updates. Agenda item 5A, outreach subcommittee. Rhonda, do you want to take this over? Any updates from the subcommittee?
Okay, I don't have anything new, except that we were exploring the ideal of hiring, not hiring, but using interns from the school and also free students that Morgan had. But we haven't finalized anything yet. Vincent, that you want to add to that?
Yes, sure. Jaime approached us at the end of last meeting and said there was a intern that's a student at UC Berkeley who was interested in working with us during the summer. And so she forwarded emails to me, Rhonda, and Jaime, I think Janice too. And I reached out, I replied. She hasn't replied yet, so there's an opportunity for us to get a intern during this summer this year, and she's studying environmental justice, I believe, up there in Berkeley. And so we also reached out to the community college for a paid intern to help us with our website and stuff. And we're also looking at the volunteer base that Morgan Brown has suggested for getting volunteers to help us table at events. So it'll give us more people at our table, and just the more people, the easier it is, that's for sure.
We were also looking at purchasing like logo, tablecloths, tent and so forth, and we're still comparing prices.
Yes, and I did want to give an update that we did attend the Meadowview neighborhood farmers market right here at the light rail in Meadowview Road. Me and Jamala, and I was kind of tired. It was early in the morning. It was foggy, and Jamala called me up the night before and said, "Hey, are we gonna go tomorrow? You said we're going." And so I appreciate the push. I appreciate the encouragement, because sometimes I'll talk myself out of it if I'm going all by myself. And so she encouraged me. We got there, we engaged the community, we met a lot of wonderful people. We got four people who signed up, said they wanted to volunteer and help us in the community, as well as getting 10 surveys filled out. So thank you again, Jamala, for the encouragement.
I also did a tabling at South Sacramento Santa event at the was it Mack Road Valley High Community Center, and that was on last Sunday before last, a week ago. And I passed out 2 types of brochures that David gave me, and involving air quality indexing and how you measure that, and also the burn one that tells you about when to burn and when not to burn, and check before you burn. And so they had over 100 kids there and probably a good 50 adults there. So they had a great turnout. And that's about all I have to say about the subcommittee.
So this is Morgan Brown, just an update on the volunteers. So I have 3 ads on Volunteer Match and 3 ads on Handshake that match the criteria that was set via email from the outreach committee after we had the last CERT meeting. So I'm just waiting to hear back as soon as I get an update. And then I do have 5 teams that are actually active participants in our Color the Block program that said that they are willing to participate and do outreach for the Air District as well for volunteer hours.
Great, that sounds good. All right. Anybody else have anything else to add? Barry, how are you doing with checking with the prices? Did we lose Barry?
Yeah, 1 second. What are you feeling?
No, I wouldn't.
The blinking?
The big round button. Yeah, there you go.
No, I was enjoying a rib. And as far as the pricing, I actually sent that out to you and CC'd, I do believe Vince, David, and a few others, either that same evening or later or the next day in regards to the cost of the canopy, tablecloth, the table, what's it called, the pull-up, 7x3 pull-up, and the step and repeat 10x10, 10x15, cost of FedEx, excuse me, of FedEx, or the pricing that I found to be the cheapest. But I believe Morgan actually had come in and stated that she uses Champion. That sounded like it may be even cheaper. And the website where we, the committee, could create our own design logo. Let's look it up, Canvas. I did it right, canva.com.
Canva, yes. I did receive that.
Okay, so
I just
there's
wondered
the-
if you got any more,
regarding
and I sent one a couple of days ago and shared it with you and Vincent, I believe. Okay,
must be
so
into the email,
between
You
now
were-
and our next meeting, we meet this week on Wednesday. We'll make a decision on what we're gonna do. And that's all I have to report on the outreach subcommittee.
Just real quick, Rhonda, what was the pricing the email that you had sent?
I sent you an email on the table logo. You can do it, the kind of the stretchy knit table that fits the table and goes down to the legs, and it has a logo on it too. I think it's like around $50 or $43.
Okay, I'll find that email. Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. Any other questions or updates from outreach subcommittee? Saying none, we can move on to Vincent for the CERT subcommittee update.
Okay, everybody, this is me, Vince again. We did meet, we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about the need of getting some projects going, okay? And so, I have my favorite projects. We listed a few of the other. Just speaking with Jamala on the weekend, she has an idea for one, and so we need to get these ideas onto paper. And we need to look at, how we can make them happen. The metrics on how we're gonna be able to gauge their effectiveness in, reducing, emissions. And also, we discussed on, not only doing that, but we have to have our CERP written. And so, we nominated Roberto Rizzo to be the lead of our, writing our CERP. And so he's moving forward with that, and very appreciative to get, help on all these different areas. We also, and I forget the gentleman's name from, CARB who attended our meeting, but he was, involved with enforcement. And what he has suggested is that there are opportunities for us to do some vehicle truck enforcement in our area. And so they've been doing some over there, I believe it's Florinel Grove and Watt Avenue and Fruit Ridge Road, in that area where the trucks drive through there. And so what they do is just like a CHP stop for trucks, and they, similar to a scale, they check to make sure that they're using the proper equipment. Their blinkers are working, their emergency lights are working, and also they have the emissions upgrades on their trucks. And so making sure they're in compliance, basically. And so he also suggested that because we're way out there, away from the city, there's a possibility we could do it maybe in South Sacramento, and specifically in the area of interest for me, which is the East Stockton Boulevard and Mac Road truck stop facilities right there in our community, where in the beginning, we were told that was where the highest amount of PM 2.5 diesel emission comes from in our community. And so looking at coordinating with him on something like that is gonna be, we're gonna be bringing that up at our next CERT meeting for sure, and reaching out to him to see how we can make that happen. So those are some of the things we talked about. I have a update from Roberto from our CERT meeting as well, and I'll hand it over to him.
Thank you, Vince. Hi again, everybody. This is Roberto Rizzo. And thank you, Vince, for the nomination. I don't know if there is like a formal process, to do that, but I'm excited to help. I mean, I know that, from the beginning, when I joined this meeting, I've been asking about, action items and keeping track of how we can start moving actions forward so we can get it done ultimately, right? And I did, we were approved to start developing a CERB 6 months ago. We haven't really made a lot of decisions on it, and it's because all of us have ideas, all of us have priorities, and we're passionate about the topic, right? So, as part of, developing this CERB, I met with Richard, I talked to Vince, briefly, I spoke with David, and we believe that the best approach for this is to develop a timeline now, right? So like the time to do that is now, so that we can approve it in January. So at the next CERB meeting, I would like to invite all of the committee members to join us, so that we can talk about a specific timeline that we can vote on at the January, full committee meeting. So that by you joining and expressing your ideas, when we come up to this meeting in January, where we come to vote, by that time, we already had an opportunity to share what we think. And there is not a lot of, tension ultimately. So we're gonna be developing that at the next subcommittee meeting. That's gonna be on January 7th. Vince is gonna be leading that conversation. Then the second thing is we're gonna be voting on that timeline in the January full committee meeting. That's at the end of January. So once we have that developed, we need to work with the district though, so that we can cross compare, because there are pieces of this CERB that we need to put together, and there are pieces that the district has to put together. So we need to make sure that those align, so that we can finish, those things, in a chronological order, right? That's, so that we don't put so much pressure on the district, or they don't put so much pressure on us, in, finalizing our action items. Something that we were discussing is this, priorities that we've developed. They've been in paper for years, right? So we've had them for a long time. We expanded, our boundary. So we need to find a way to validate, the current priorities that we have. And I know that, 1 month might not be enough, but at that subcommittee meeting next month, maybe we can think about walking a few streets of the new, expanded areas, and having specific things to ask the community members to see, if those align to what we're thinking about. So that we can do what's best for the community. Ultimately, each of us represents a specific area of, the region or the space that we represent. So, that comes with our responsibility, and, there's gonna be a lot of work in the next 16 months, 18 months. So that's that. So a summary, next subcommittee meeting, we're gonna develop a timeline, we're gonna vote on it in January, and we need to align that timeline with districts. Back to you, Vince.
A comment from Vincent?
Yeah, and so, can you hear me? Okay, and so hearing that, I think how we, fast track some items, is it possible that we could add that as an action item today and do the discussion and make a motion so we can vote on it in January? Because if we don't, we can't vote on it on January. Brief discussion.
Restate that.
All right.
So, in restating what I just said is, if we were able to come up with a certain timeline and have it voted, if we're gonna vote on it in January, it has to be made into a motion today.
That's not, as long as it's made an administrative item, the request from the CERB committee has been that at the prior meeting, it has at least been announced, before a vote happens. So there's no requirement currently for a motion to have to carry, for that item. For the previous item, that was simply because there was a charter that needed to be amended.
Okay, good. So we'll be able to vote on it in January?
Correct, unless any of the steering committee has an issue. Go ahead, David. And just a point of order, we will take the public questions or comments related to this item after the end of the agenda item 5.
So Vince, to answer your question, that decision will be part of the committee prep meeting, right? As we develop the agenda for the next meeting, we'll be talking about what are our priorities that we want to bring up at the next.
Yeah, but the possibility of voting is possible.
Correct.
It's up to you too, in our conversation, right? I mean, we have a couple things on our next agenda, right? One is the COLI elections.
Yeah, okay.
But to Vince's point from our current understanding, that's sufficient to allow for the action item to be included if it's allowed or desired by the co-leads, unless any of the steering committee members have an issue with that. Any other items for 5B, the SERP committee update? Seeing none in person, any steering committee members want to make any comments or questions related to 5B, SERP committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to 5C, district update for David. And then again, we will then select the questions that we see online for this area.
So I have an update on the monitor locations. At the last meeting, we
Mike higher and speak a little bit more, yes.
so at the last meeting,
Like the.
right, so at the last meeting, you guys have prioritized location. I forward those priority locations to our air monitoring supervisors. They are looking into it and they'll be hoping to make contact with the property owner so they can schedule a meeting. Once we have that, we will be forwarding the information to you all so you can participate in the site visit as well.
Any questions or comments related to the district update? Seeing none online or in person, we will now open up for the public comments. Any public comment? Yes. Correct. Before we get to the online discussion, any public comments related to discussion or agenda item 5 in person? Seeing none, we are going to first read some comments that were posted in the chat related to these discussion items. Britta will do that, and then we will open up for the hands raised online related to this.
Thank you. So just going over these chronologically, in relation to outreach, Jose added that it might be good to offer a Saturday morning meeting to share with community everything you've done until now. Don't oversell your work because it puts people off. But my point is, a Saturday morning is simply an alternative to Monday nights. Doesn't have to be every Saturday, but maybe one every 6 months. Then later in relation to the printing and talking about the procurement of outreach materials, Adrian commented that Champion Printing on Mac Road is great. Erman shared an article. The headline just from the link that I can see is EPA air quality monitors white neighborhoods, and that's a Guardian article. Then Jose wanted to emphasize that Roberto's idea about creating a timeline and then voting on it is a great idea. Erman shared another article about from the EPA on air research, health effects, and air pollution. And then Adriana Smith with CARB added a comment in the chat that I will now read. She said, "Good evening, everyone. With the emission inventory discussion coming up next month, which will help to understand where the emissions are coming from, I recommend that you watch some of the videos. A good video is the emission inventory one located on the following website." She linked it. And then she said, "I also recommend that you watch module 3 to learn more about the terminology and steps used during the SERP development process to gain some familiarity." Oh, okay. Jose clarified that it was a different idea that he thought was a great idea of Roberto's. He clarified he liked the idea to walk the neighborhood and ask community if they like the track that we're on. So thank you for that clarification, Jose. And we can now pass it to Erman, who has patiently had his hand raised.
Thank you. So first I want to commend, this is the end of a year and there's been lots of interesting discussion going back and forth. So thank you all for hanging in there. I really appreciate all your patience and contributions. I can tell you that from our members here, we posted a little hub here of people listening to this meeting from our organization. And we echo Jose's suggestion that Saturday mornings would be an ideal, even if it's just once a month, it's a good idea. The second part is, I included these articles there just for your reference. There's a study that's found that in the United States, EPA air quality monitors are placed more in white neighborhoods than poor neighborhoods. So I left the link there for your reference. But I also wanted to see in your outreach efforts, will you be willing to bring in the public health department, whether it's the county or the state, the California Department of Public Health, to help us understand how we can measure for success when it comes to the work that the SERP is doing and the greater boundaries and the greater efforts that will be happening in the boundaries. We need some sort of baseline. So it would be ideal to have some sort of public health representatives reached out to see what suggestions they may have to be able to show some success on our public health concerns. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Any other public comments?
This is Adriana from ARB. I also wanted to just comment that and say congratulations to you all for getting to this point. It's been a really successful year now that you were approved for the SERP, and so definitely making a lot of headway. And I think once we start the emission inventory discussion next month, I think things will start to speed up and make more progress. So I really do. I mean, David, he can send out the information that I posted on Zoom, but I highly recommend that in advance of the meeting for next month, that you watch some of these videos and get some familiarity with what the mission inventory is. I mean, I know they'll discuss it at the meeting then, but it would be good to just watch something and get some familiarity. Or please feel free to reach out to me or Kevin Olb if you'd like to chat about any of that. So, or about the SERP development or whatever. We're here to also help you in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. We will definitely send that out to the steering committee as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? We'll see another one. Go ahead, Adrian.
Is this the final public comment opportunity of the meeting? Just clarifying.
This is not. This is just for the discussion, agenda item 5.
All right, I'll ask my question later.
We will hold off for you. Any other questions or public comment from the public on agenda item 5? Seeing none, we can move on to agenda number 6. I don't know if it's the ribs, but we're just on time. New business and upcoming meeting topics. Agenda 6A, next meeting topics. We currently have the co-lead elections coming up in January. We also have community emission inventory coming up as a discussion item or topic item for the next meeting's agenda. Are there any others, or any others determined by the steering committee? Are there any other recommendations from the steering committee for topics to be discussed in our next meeting in January? Go ahead, ask one in person. Again, if you're online and would like to make comments on this as a steering committee member, please raise your hand.
Question. Can you hear me? Okay, this is Morgan Brown. Last 2 questions on this, I guess. So for the co-lead nomination, so I really want to understand this one. When would that start if in fact the individual was voted in as co-lead?
Or when would the co-lead take office?
Yes.
Okay, it'll be February's meeting. So January would be a final meeting, monitored by, or managed by Stephanie and Vincent. And then after the nominations, February would be the new kickoff for the new co-leads. I believe that both Stephanie and Vincent have committed to offering transition support for new co-leads if they're not themselves co-elected.
Okay.
Just following up, just for everybody, and so we're all clear, the transition. So the person, new person elected in January, actually, pay attention, folks. You will be on duty as of the moment of being elected. So you will be participating starting in January through February, leading up to February's meeting. So you will be a part of the transition. So the moment whoever is elected in January, you are now a co-lead So you will now participate in the meetings preparing for February, just so everybody's clear.
Correct. There'll be 2 co-lead meetings in prep for February. You'd be involved in that. I heard you say 2 questions. Was that?
So because this was mentioned to me a couple of months ago, I will go ahead and ask, is it okay to put in a nomination?
Yes, nominations are available. And we can do that now.
So I'll self-nominate.
All right, we have our first nominee.
Second it.
Any other topics to be discussed in the January meeting or requested to be discussed in January's meeting?
It will be the timeline that we
The
talked
time- oh,
about.
yes, correct.
The timeline will be discussed.
The timeline for the CERT will be discussed and voted on in our January meeting. Seeing none others online. Seeing none, now moving on to agenda item 6B, upcoming meetings. David, I believe you already made an update, but do you want to reiterate location?
Yeah, for the locations, we haven't secured a location for January yet. We will be working on that and looking for recommendations.
And again, Vincent had requested that the steering committee and other members on the meeting today to go ahead and send in recommendations for locations if they have some. Any other questions or comments from the steering committee? Go ahead.
This is Ward 1 Shola, Southgate Recreation and Park District. So if you can't find a place, you're always welcome to try one of our communities.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Vincent.
No.
Oh, no, all right. Any other comments from the steering committee in person? Seeing none online. Seeing none, that concludes agenda item 6. Moving on to agenda item 7, just on time, public comments. We did have one online, but do we have any public comments for any items addressed in today's meeting in person? We do. Reminding the public to just state their name and association before their comment.
I just wanted to share with you also, I am a vice chair of the South Sacramento, South Sacramento Community Planning Advisory Council. And one of the things that really kind of motivated me through just being on that and coming to these meetings and being a lot more informed, I reached out to our planning department to request, what's technically turned into a Public Records Act request, to get all the information. We asked specifically for data for number of permits, looking at special developments so that I could kind of similar to what you were speaking about, Roberto, right? About mapping, like visually being able to see like where all the truck stops are, where are like diesel engines, RVs, boats, where are they all parking in South Sacramento area. And so I got a whole lot of documents and a lot of reading to go through. So I have that, and you know, what I find or whatever I'll share and bring back to you guys. And that might be good to look at that information in correlation with like where people are living as well. So hopefully that'll be helpful to bring back to you guys too.
Perfect. Any other public comments in person? Seeing none. Adrian, thank you for your patience. Would you like to add your comment?
Yeah, thank you. So again, this is Adrian Wren with Valley Vision. Yeah, I just want to really commend the leadership of the co-leads over the last year. You guys have done incredible work. And wanted to elevate the funding opportunity that I shared last month, which is now open and available through January 5th. And this is through our current community air grant. We've secured from the state $150,000 for clean air projects, split evenly between North Sacramento, Oak Park, Fruit Ridge, and Meadowview. And as you guys know, with your expanded boundary, the Oak Park, Fruit Ridge, and the Meadowview zones overlap with the area that you guys are doing work in. So just keep this in mind. It's again, this is funding available for individuals, nonprofits, churches, other groups to conduct clean air projects, and then to work with us to track outcomes. So hoping that, this is a response to community members that want to see action. And we're hoping that you guys can share the opportunity. I posted in the chat the link to where you can find the application for folks to apply for these, and the application's been translated into several different languages. Let me know directly. I'll put my email in the chat. Let me know if you guys need any other materials or a link to our outreach toolkit. Thanks.
Thank you, Adrian. Any other comments from the public online? Seeing none, then that concludes agenda item number 7. Before we get to agenda item number 8, adjourn, I just wanted to say on behalf of facilitators, I know that you guys are not quite, we'll get to you, Barry. We know that we're not quite out of the woods yet, Stephanie and Vincent, but it's been a true pleasure working with you both as co-leads. And I don't know if everyone knows, we do very little when it comes to actual direction of these. We just manage the agenda that's put together by both the co-leads, and we have had a great working relationship. I really appreciate you guys' effort. We know it's a lot of work. I did see a hand up from Barry.
I just wanted to bring to the attention for everyone that this Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m., I do believe that the CARB voucher applications go live in regards to qualifying for a $2,000 voucher to put forward to a electric bicycle vehicle. Well, I think the 2,000 is for the bicycle, and to see where you qualify for a vehicle, but a $2,000 voucher to go toward an electric bike. Applications go live, I believe, again at 6 p.m. I think she's offline. Adrian, we're gonna have her just to make sure, but thank you.
Perfect. With that, Stephanie, you can adjourn the meeting.
All right, so we have this thing that we do when we get ready to adjourn the meeting. And so what I am going to say is I'm going to ask, what do we want? And then everyone's response is South Sac Clean Air, and we're going to clap. So we're gonna practice it. I'm gonna ask, what do you want? South Sac Clean Air, clap. All right, we'll do it again. What do you want?
South Sac Clean Air.
That, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
And we will be ending the recording.
Yeah.